What's up, everyone? It is 2 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon, which means you're tuning in to Cannabis Legalization News. I'm producer Lauren, and today we're joined by Rachel Klubeck out in Oklahoma to talk about what's going on with cannabis legalization in Oklahoma. But first, we do have to get into a little bit of cannabis legalization news. So, Miggy and Tom, what's going on in the news this week?
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. No place to be like here. Don't forget to give us the likes and the subscribes. And then if you want a Bovita package, you can email me at tom@collateralbase.com. But what was the news? Because I got some news for Illinois, and then there was some cool news out of our guest today is from Oklahoma. So we're going to be talking a lot about Oklahoma cannabis scene, cannabis laws. So what was the news out of Oklahoma that you saw, Miggy?
Well, there were several things in Oklahoma, but I wanted to brush on that I added to our main Facebook page, the big one. Last week Craig Cecil was freed, and we still have Michael Thompson behind bars. But the other thing in Oklahoma that was going on is that 300 million in sales. Hey, so far.
Make that money, man. They really just knocked it out. And what's the population of Oklahoma? That is going to be a question that we'll ask our guest. So do tune in, because we're going to talk with cannabis lawyer Rachel Klubeck in a little bit. But Oklahoma's just killing it in sales. They're already at 300 million.
Yeah, 5 months.
In 5 months. And then it's just medical. It's not adult use. It's just medical.
But it's also not just Oklahoma.
Yeah. No, that's the exact opposite of the news that we had out of Illinois yesterday. Because today, in theory, in ideal world, where we clearly are no longer in ideal world, like how's the chop in Seattle?
It's
Miggy?
breaking up, unfortunately. I wanted to drive by there today, but there was a good chance of me getting tear gas. I decided to come to work.
Tear gas in Seattle. So they're breaking up the chop. And what did CHOP stand for again?
That was Capitol Hill occupation, or occupation protest, or I forget what the other one was, but that's the one I went with.
Yeah.
And the thing about Seattle is we're it's just a bunch of like super college educated homeless people. I mean, people
the
are
real estate values are so expensive.
Well, people who are mad about the CHOP, the area that surrounds the CHOP, are $1 million apartments, period. It's just not like the people who are paying.
Well, it's Seattle. Like the price of real estate in Seattle is just, how much has it gone up since 1999 when Amazon showed up?
Oh fuck, dude! I cry every day when I pay my rent, and I have a low rent. It's ridiculous. Like, just where I work at locally, it's for me to walk to an apartment that's 3 bedrooms, $2,800.
Oh wow! I just paid $4,200 a couple days ago, and I paid my mortgage for the next 6 months. And so not only that, I overpaid it by approximately $60 a month. So like my whole mortgage for my 1,400 square foot home in Peoria, Illinois, is $635.
I hate you.
It is so cheap. But and that includes real estate taxes, which are actually pretty high here. And hopefully real estate taxes will be coming down, because we're going to get some cannabis revenue eventually. But this came out yesterday. State of Illinois announces that they are suspending the deadline for issuing the adult use, craft grower, infuser, and transporter licenses because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And not only that, we haven't even seen the bid buy for who has been awarded the contract to score the Department of Agriculture applications. Who knows when those are going to be handed out?
Are they worried about protocols for
they should
transportation?
I mean, they should be worried about deadlines for the craft growers, because the deadlines for the craft growers are made in such a way that you have to be in production in 6 months.
Oh.
Well, then think about it. If you're going to try to build a state-of-the-art premium flower indoor farm, and we have winter to deal with, and you announce the winners in September, let's say, 2 months from today, maybe they're in October. I don't know. We're already 2 months. Yeah, we're 2 months late for the dispensaries, so it could be 2 months for the craft growers. How can you be open in 6 months? How are you going to get because we get froze out in Illinois, and you can't pour concrete in February,
No, you guys are definitely in a bind, because no matter what decision, it is a timeline, at least for the reasonable, like to have consideration the person who's about to be in business. The other thing is, you just start up when you can.
That's right. You just start up when you can. And then the problem really becomes, hey, these regulations were onerous. I'm glad that you wanted us open in 6 months, but they contemplated the award of the license being in July. So they thought that they'd be able to, you win, get to work. And so right now they would have ordered all the contracts to go out there and start building, as opposed to waiting another 2, who knows, months. And then it's like, go out there and build in September? It's going to be something else. No. But did you hear about that dude out of Tennessee?
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah. That one was great. Did a Tennessee senator take a state car to buy marijuana at an Illinois dispensary? Isn't that neat?
And that's traceable, right? I mean, they could have just looked at the back plate. I read the whole thread. They didn't call anybody out. They were saying those things are available at like the gift shop. So, but did you see that car?
Yeah, I know. Well, then again, you see in Illinois, like Illinois state senators, they make about 75 large a year, and they may have a car. But then we had the guy from Texas on where they make $7,500 a year. That's it, not 75,000, 7,500, and they only meet every 2 years. And that's why Texas will never have legal weed, because their legislature is never in session and they don't pay their legislature squat. So they aren't going to care about legalizing.
Yeah, but 7,500 is huge in, say, Texas and Tennessee and Oklahoma.
Maybe we pay ours a lot more here in Illinois.
No,
I just think it is funny that the importation of cannabis is so strong that it is pulling legislatures from other states in, and I expect them to continue to come in. Tell your legislature, if you're in a state that doesn't have it, tell them to drive to Illinois with their state cars and buy some weed, and then explain to the people, this is good. We need this in our states. And by the way, Illinois has done it correctly. We're going to bring the social equity how we did.
Well, you guys did everything correctly as far as like the regulation, the licensing,
No. There's, oh gosh, I looked into this. And so like the Illinois law actually prohibits the possession of weed still, in the sense that, so like the traditional market is still illegal. So just because you have an ounce of weed, if it's not legally purchased at a dispensary, it's still not legal. And that can make, the grow and give aspect isn't in Illinois. So you really can't have medical patients sharing their supply, which I don't like. But then also they've defined it, the legalization in Illinois, in such a way that it only applies to purchasers, not persons, but purchasers. And so the purchasers is somebody who lawfully purchased the cannabis. And because of that, they really haven't made the plant totally legal. It's still illegal unless you buy it from a licensed dispensary.
So like technically, like here in Washington, when we started with our legalization, which was medical, and we feared getting pulled over or whatever situation, we would pull our script out. We're like, we're legal. But you're telling me I should carry a receipt in Illinois?
You should carry a receipt in Illinois, or you should only transport your cannabis in after you buy something. You put your weed that you grew into that and then leave the house with it.
So I got to smoke an ounce of weed just to carry an ounce of weed?
Or if you wanted to have a party, like cannabis cake party, right, at your house, cake and tea. And so they're going to be infused, and you're going to be using your magical butter machine to go ahead and make these. And you have a medical card and you give that to your friends, that I guess is illegal. And then the other thing is, imagine smoking a joint, right? Okay. So if you're smoking a joint that you buy at the dispensary, it's a legal joint. You bought it 1 gram. It's way too much for you. It's meant to be shared. You can't pass it to anybody, not just because of COVID, but because the person that has to be possessing it has to be the purchaser. So, the joint is illegal as soon as you pass it.
Yeah. I wonder what semantics do Oklahomans have to face when they do their sharing and
I have no idea. But Oklahoman stuff, it just seems like it's still medical, but it seems like it's way more wide open than oops, I've shared the wrong thing on that one. But no. All right. My bad. That's one of the problems with, I tried to copy and paste my the suspension link. Oh, no, I'm showing it. Yeah. I tried to copy and paste the suspension link, but my keyboard goes to sleep. And so then I didn't get it. So then by the time I tried to paste it, it woke up, and then I pasted like a block to something I was writing earlier.
I hate copy.
Just the right amount of nonsense on cannabis legalization news. Yeah.
Well, also in Oklahoma, they have, which one thing I wanted to talk about too, is they let the vote out for out-of-state residents.
Oh, good.
To get a medical card and allow delivery. That's what I have a question on.
Oh, delivery. Rachel. Now, can I take? Oh, this is a question that I shouldn't ask myself and speculate and stuff. I should ask the guest. And so first, I'm going to make sure to share the press release. So if you guys want to read the press release from Illinois, it is very general, and it just basically says, "Here's where we have no deadlines, but let's bring on the guest and ask her about if my medical card from Illinois is good in Oklahoma."
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Rachel, thanks for joining us today.
Ready?
Can you tell us, before we start, can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing at Smith and Klubeck?
Yeah, so I'm an Oklahoma attorney. I'm only licensed in Oklahoma. Smith and Klubeck was started actually pre-COVID, right before on April 1st. Myself and a good friend of mine from a previous firm we used to work at, Matt Smith, partnered up, and we started a civil litigation law firm in Oklahoma City. And my emphasis is on cannabis businesses and their representation. He does all the other side of civil litigation and stuff like that. But yeah, we're downtown Oklahoma City. It's booming down here.
You're also part of Loud Consulting?
So a year out of law school, I started a consulting firm. I realized that you're not allowed to ethically advertise as a cannabis attorney when you're not an expert. So I kind of found this marketing loophole with a consulting firm, and it allowed me to market myself in a way that I felt was more authentic to myself. And then I created Loud Consulting. I'm the CEO of that. And that's still in operation today.
Yeah, that's something that I've noticed when I'm doing the applications. And we can talk about the differences of applications from Illinois to Oklahoma, how complex they are. Like ours here, they would be like over 1,000 pages. And I'd be making these. Well, I mean, imagine creating the application contemplating litigation. And so like as you're drafting it and reading it, like the legal aspect of it, of the practice of the law, really infuses into a lot of the elements. But then the consulting aspect, the business understanding for the operation is in quite a lot of it as well. And then a ton of compliance.
Right.
So
applications are very simple. I will tell you that. They may be peculiar on, the format of the upload of the document, but it is really straightforward in Oklahoma. That being said, they will kick back for certain reasons. That most attorneys like to handle them just so we can avoid like the lapse of time, get it done in the essence of time.
Wow. So how many dispensaries are operating in Oklahoma?
Oh God, operating. I think there's about 4,000 licenses. I can't exactly remember. That being said, that doesn't mean they're all in operation. It doesn't even mean that they all had storefronts. It just means that they got licenses. A license in Oklahoma costs $2,500. And unless you're near a school or you are a felon within the past 2 to 5 years, or you don't have any out of state residence or anything like that, then you're good to go. It's super simple. And
so it can only be Oklahomans that can get a license. I can't get one because I'm not an Oklahoman.
So there's a residency requirement. So what you would need is you'd either have to be here for 2 years, or you'd have to partner up with an Oklahoma resident.
And they would have to own how much of the company?
25%.
Oh, so wow. Does this cause partnership disputes?
I'm sorry, you can only own up to 25%.
But does that cause some partnership disputes then when that 25%?
Not really, because as lawyers, we can kind of work around that in the operating agreement. When it comes to economic interest and ownership interest, they don't exactly have to match.
Right.
But that being said, there's new proposed legislation that would not allow any economic interest in the company for outside of the state residents. So that's not in effect yet.
Well, then I better get my license there sooner. All right. So put me down for 25% in, I don't know.
A vertically integrated company.
Why not? Yeah. All right. I'll send the check.
Okay.
Okay. But that's totally different because like there was 4,000 applications for 75 dispensary licenses in Illinois. That's crazy. That's so like
competition. Yeah. Here, I mean, the only competition is there's 3 on every 4 corners.
Wow. Just as long as they're not near a school.
Just as long as they're not near a school. And there's a problem that it used to be entrance of this school to property line, and now it's property line to property line. So there's a lot of dispensaries that are kind of screwed on that end, but not too big of an issue.
Oklahoma's got a nice little warm up to marijuana because before medical, there was CBD everywhere. That was the thing. Like there were CBD stores like 7-Elevens when I went there for Oklahoma Hemp Fest. And
those guys, are they all now CBD / regular THC marijuana?
Mostly, yeah. And they knew it was coming and they set up at the right time in order to flip.
Well, does my card work down there? If I have my Illinois medical card, can I just walk into the dispensary and get some medicine?
No, so you actually need an Oklahoma card There is a temporary card that you can get for out of state, but usually they require that person to have a medical card in their home state.
But I do.
It's kind of hard whenever there's recreational people that come to Oklahoma because they might not have a medical card.
Right. But then I could. That's great because I want to go to Oklahoma to check out this crazy, crazy scene, but then also to see some people that are running some light depth greenhouses in there. See how they're doing. That's really cool. And then you said vertical integration. So what type of licenses do they have in Oklahoma?
Yeah, so we have the normal run of the mill, which is dispensary, processing, some people call manufacturing, and we also have grow or cultivation. We have transportation. If you wanted to set up a transport company and not do the rest of the stuff, that's possible. We also have waste disposal licenses, and there's only up to 10 until November. And that is a real hard license to get, just because you have to go through DEQ and EPA and certain things like that. And then there's also laboratory licenses for research or testing.
What are the testing requirements? It sounds wide open. So if there's so many growers that are out there, how is the state ensuring that the supply is clean?
They're not. I mean, they're trying their best. They just, implemented new requirements that July 1st, everything has to be tested before it's sold. So as you can imagine, there's been some gray areas on remediation on some contaminated products. That being said, there are labs here that are licensed, but there's no regulations for the labs. So you might get 3 different results.
I sent it to the lab, and the lab's just sitting like a monkey there, just stamping stuff.
There was a recall here recently from an out-of-state company that nobody really likes because they're out of state. I think that's ridiculous. But they got in trouble, and they're trying to prove that their lab testing was good to go. So it's kind of interesting out here when it comes to testing results.
Well, testing's hard because that's what happened here with medical. We didn't have the requirement for any testing, but people were trying to do it, but the labs were always behind. So by the time somebody got their test results back, the product was already out the door and gone. And
and you can't pull those off the shelves. I mean, it's already consumed.
And it's not like you have an insurance contract out there in case something goes wrong. It's like, well, I have a claim. Sorry, it's federal crime.
Cannabis insurance out here.
You guys do?
Yeah, there's certain agencies that will provide that.
Has anybody ever tried to make a claim?
Good question. You'd have to ask the insurance agent.
That's what I ask all the insurance companies. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I love that you have an insurance product. Now let me talk about your claims process. Yeah.
We actually have banking as well, which is really scary. But the smaller banks handle it. So
yeah, I think some of the banks are coming here. I mean, if you want to have some of those banks reach out to me, I'd like to talk to them about their due diligence practices or their safe and sound banking protocols they put into place for the type of lending, because the bank account number is very important. And these types of practices for compliance with like FinCEN regulations and whatnot, that's something that I'm putting together for the ISBA for, helping these new companies and then also the banks bank it. But it's still quite secretive. And then it's still quite early because it sounds like you in Oklahoma have a ripeness issue where we don't have that yet in Illinois. It's still premature. And yesterday, they delayed the announcement for the other licenses. So we don't know when these companies are actually going to need that bank account. And some of the banks in Illinois are more okay with the amount of regulatory hoops and hurdles that they'll have to do to provide the services to their clients.
Well,
it's
crazy. The banking was just so expensive. It would be 5% of deposits or some exorbitant price. But now there's a little bit more competition, so they're coming around a little better and making it more affordable. But it's more of a safety issue, I mean, you're just going to carry all this cash and keep it in your, mattress or your back room. I mean, it's just scary. So
do you guys know? Because Tom will know because he's a banking lawyer. But Tom, here in Washington, the banks that are active are state credit unions. Do they have any special protections or anything because of that?
It's not going to. It's going to be a different regulatory authority. All right. So then you're looking at the NUCA as opposed to the FDIC, and because of that, there's just a different set of regs, and so they're more likely to be okay with the compliance related to, because they're still going to have to comply with like the FinCEN regulations and whatnot. But then the FDIC auditors are not the same. So if there's a different group that's leading one is, maybe more progressive, like the credit unions tend to be, they might be more okay with it, as opposed to the one that's leading the FDIC might be more conservative, like I don't know, Idaho tends to be. And where a lot of banks are located actually is South Dakota, also not necessarily known for great cannabis laws, but that may kind of explain it. It's getting there. It's getting there, but it takes time.
Yeah, it does.
How wide open is the medical marijuana market? I mean, medical marijuana condition list in Oklahoma?
So we actually have no qualifying conditions at
Then
all.
why is it sold everywhere if nobody can qualify?
No, everybody qualifies. Yeah, so there's no you don't have to have a condition that like it says in Colorado where you have to have XYZ, or California where it says you have to have XYZ. Oklahoma's not like that. So you can
just basically have legalization then.
Told you, Tom.
basically have rec. You just have to pay $100 or whatever for your medical card.
That's just legalization. It's just.
Wait, Rachel, who's the authority who's allowed to give the prescriptions?
So the OMMA, Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority, is under our State Department of Health, and they run our medical marijuana, obviously, stuff. But it's they also regulate the physician recommendations. But it's essentially in Oklahoma, it's patient physician confidentiality. You can go in and say you have anxiety or depression. It doesn't have to be something that you can necessarily prove physically or by results or anything like that. You can just go in.
Does boredom count as a condition? I'm bored. Okay.
Ever heard of somebody getting denied was when they put that they had phantom pain and they were not missing a limb. So
if you would have just said I get headaches after I've drank too much alcohol, I have a headache.
Hungover, they're like, oh, you're a great candidate for cannabis.
That's awesome.
And we do virtual recommendations here. So you don't even really need to go to a doctor. You can just pay the $25, the $100 to OMMA to get it, and 2 weeks later, hopefully you have your patient card.
Are they all doctors or any of them like holistic practitioners? All
MDs.
Right on. That's pretty good. See it.
All right, let's talk about if I wanted to start a dispensary in Oklahoma. Walk us through how we started a dispensary.
Okay. So you find a location that's compliant with zoning and make sure it's not near a school, and that the facility is vetted. Just zoning is the big thing. Just make sure it's zoned properly. We file an application through OMMA. We get your license, which is the $2,500 OMMA license. After that, depending on if it's a dispensary or a grow, you'll pay between $300 and $500 to the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics for a license there, which is frustrating because it's a Schedule I CDS federally. They make us register with them. And it's just an extra measure with security and fencing and just stuff like that. If you're a dispensary, you'll also need a food permit in order to sell edibles. So that's another $850 or something like that. And then depending where you are, if you're within city limits or county limits, you might also need some sort of local permit, and that just varies depending on where you are. But that's it.
That's it. And is there social use?
Is there social use?
Yeah, well, before COVID, you could pass joints and stuff. Is there a place that you can go to smoke with your buddies?
So technically you can go to a place. You're allowed to smoke anywhere you can smoke tobacco and smoke a joint. That's the law here.
I'm fucking moving, man.
Dude, I told you, when I was in Oklahoma, I just share this with you guys.
I'm going to have to open an office there. Do they have reciprocity with Illinois?
I doubt it.
It's
a tourism spot, but man, weed has really set us off.
No, so when I was there with HempFest, it was the fact that we were consuming, I think it was the Marriott or whatever hotel we were staying at, blew my mind. Just smoking in Tulsa, and that's why I was trying to share the article there. It's just showing pictures of, because HempFest is very about education and rights, and that's what we were doing. They were giving forums and how to what Washington was, and you guys what to expect. We didn't even have business license requirements for medical. That was just people having their onerous for whatever city, whatever they're at to take a license to have a store, a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you know, we had holistic care practitioners and any doctors willing to give you a script. And it was the Wild West. I could travel anywhere in the state at one time with my prescription, go do a dab at a place or a farmer's market, or pick up an ounce of flour and actually smell it and touch it, not prepackaged some bullshit.
How is the packaging, Rex, down there? Is it like that? Is it fresh flour or like bulk flour?
Yeah, so you can either sell it prepackaged, you can package it in store. A lot of people just like to do it because it's like easier to regulate on the wholesale side, so they just do that. But no,
they have reciprocity. They do. Oklahoma has reciprocity with Illinois, so I might have to petition and then put a pin in there.
Imagine that they'll deny you.
Well, no, like just register as being a lawyer in Oklahoma.
Yeah, but I mean, you can have a ton of marijuana on you as a patient here. I mean, I think it's up to 3 ounces on your person.
Home grow
concentration. What?
Is there a home grow?
Yeah. So if you're a patient, you can have 6 seedlings and 6 mature plants. So you can basically keep rotating. And that's per patient. So, you know, if you have 2-3 patients living in a household, then.
Oh man, we have draconian stuff. It's 5 plants over 6 inches high per household. So if you have like 3 patients in a household, 5 plants.
Yeah, it's silly.
Have you guys noticed an influx of residency? Because when we were doing the Oklahoma Hemp Fest, there were people coming from Texas, all over the place, just trying to learn about the plant and the process that we experienced and what Oklahoma was about to see.
Yeah, there's a huge California rush just because it's astronomically cheaper to live here.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's astronomically easier to get a license there, because I was just looking at the licenses for Fresno, California. I'm like, this is Illinois. This is basically Illinois, you know.
Congressperson essentially to get one. So yeah, it's I would say California is huge. Michigan is a recent influx for Oklahoma, I think, because they're just trying to expand a little more and it's not too far away in the scheme of things. But yeah, a lot of California residents here.
What's the barometer? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just can't. We have full-on adult use legalization, and it's less legal than it is in Oklahoma. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Tom doesn't like free capitalism.
No, I like it. I just like it. I'm like, hey, how come we are regulating this stuff like it's they're scared of that, like, you know. But then the same thing, people would like, they go broke, and so if you just allow more competition into the market, the people that are going to end up winning are still going to be the people that end up winning. They're going to be the ones that have like $10 million and then can afford to have a loss leader or to like have that $25 eighth that they think is about 29% THC.
There's a harvest.
There's a what? Is that the Harvest brand out of Arizona?
I just mean those companies that are, you know, established in themselves with capital. Yeah. These mom and pops are going to go away because they can't make their bills if they don't make every single harvest. If they get mites, they're done for. But, you know, these bigger companies, they can withstand that. And that's just, in Oklahoma, that's going to be the kicker.
Yeah, no, I agree. And here in Washington, when it was medical, I'm still trying to explain to my kids, like when I used to disappear for a couple hours and come back, you know, I was like, look, there was a market. It gave that low barrier entry, gave the citizen a chance to like make $1 million. There's so many millionaires that transitioned from the medical market to the 502 market. Some passed and some lost all their money. You know, that was a gamble in itself because Washington doesn't give a F. But you guys created that low barrier, and that's what I see. I see a lot of Oklahomans coming out with Rolls Royces, and you know. Yeah,
but everybody and their grandmother was growing in their backyard for 20 years and thinks they're the best. And so
yes, they do.
Coming to a head where it's like, no, your product actually sucks because you're outside in Oklahoma. And I'm not saying that all outside product is bad, but it's really hard to make that your premier product if everybody else is doing indoor, especially when we have tornadoes and harsh winters and harsh summers. Right. So it's just an understanding too that you're gonna have to morph a little bit. It's not exactly like you always thought it was gonna be.
Oh, for sure.
That'll be interesting for a lot of your California clients that are coming in because of the climate change that they see. Do you see them? Because in California, it's fine for greenhouses, but it's also great for premium indoor. So what type of grow organizations and you know, I guess we grow organizations or like outfits are you seeing? Is it a lot of premium indoor, or is there a lot more greenhouse?
So I try to avoid telling my clients to do greenhouses in Oklahoma because there's more security measures as opposed to a grow house. It sounds crazy, but it's just, I think because you can see through it or it's more translucent, that the state does not like that you can, it's stupid, I know, but they make you put up extra security barriers. So I always, say if you're going to do indoor and you can afford it, do grow houses. If you can't afford to do indoor, maybe you should be looking at downsizing and then expanding later on, because outdoor is just not selling like it needs to be. And even the processors, we have such this average products that even the processors, when they usually take lower grade stuff, they don't need to. So it's just kind of getting lost.
How's the growers like? And that's what I was telling my sons as well. I explained to him, like, during medical, I can grow a couple plants, save some for myself, and take the rest to a dispensary and sell that. Can a medical patient? No. Take it.
You have to have a commercial license to sell.
And that's a $2,500.
And how hard is that to get again?
That's still low, man.
$500 hard, or I would say roughly $5,000 all in all.
$5,000, you can be selling cannabis in Oklahoma.
What's the max amount?
Like,
I get the license. Is there a max amount? Like, is there a tier? Anything? Nothing.
No.
Holy crap!
Licenses, and there's no cap on amount of plants, and there's no cap on space either. So
like your consulting company, do you guys just own some grows? It's like, as if I was gonna have my consulting company in Oklahoma, I would just be like, all right, I'm just gonna buy this, and then we're gonna just set this up and start growing, and then we'll just use this to advertise for it.
I have not personally invested in any businesses because I'm trying to avoid conflicting out. I know this market is kind of settling, and I don't want to cut myself out of the legal community in any way. And I don't want to have to, disclose all my clients, well, I'm actually invested in this business, but it's not biased. Like, I just don't even want to touch that yet.
Yeah.
Nice. You've been out for 2 years now. What are the do's and don'ts have you seen so far?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Since you've been at it for 2 years, what are the do's and don'ts that you've seen so far?
Don't get in business with your family.
Yep.
Don't get in business with your friends either, because those also break up. And nobody is papering up their contracts. It's all these handshake deals. So a lot of business partnership disputes, stuff like that. Initially, it was a lot of bad investments. Maybe they just met someone who was in the industry, gave them $250K, and then never saw it again because they didn't vet the person or whatever. So a lot of do's and don'ts are involving partnerships, I would say.
The betting's huge. When I was at the Hempfest, there was a guy with a suitcase full of money. If I had seeds in my pocket, I could have walked out with a shit ton of money. I was so sad. It's amazing.
They're good to go. I mean, seeds are a novelty.
Yeah, now they are. Man.
Now, how do they define seeds down in Oklahoma then, if you say they're a novelty? Because I don't think we're allowed to sell seeds in Illinois, from my understanding of our law.
Yeah, we're allowed to sell seeds, and we're actually allowed to have seeds from out of state because it's the same as the international laws where you can bring it back from Amsterdam or Spain or whatever it is, and it's considered a novelty. So Oklahoma just adopted that same rule.
Wow. That's so cool.
So you have to buy your seeds from overseas so they can be the novelty rule.
You still have to tell the state where you got your seeds. So it's seed to sale. So once you have your seeds, you got to register that seed, and ever since then, until it's either sold, lost, destroyed, whatever it is, we need to take care of it on software.
Like a gun, you got to register your seeds.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Do medical patients have to register their seeds?
No.
Okay. Just the so then you'd still need what's the compliant software for seed to sale tracking that they use in Oklahoma?
We don't have a set one.
So it doesn't matter if it's metric or BioTrack THC.
Indica Online's a big one.
Which one?
Indica Online.
Indica Online. No, that's one of the. We have a boondoggle in Illinois in the sense that they wrote in like providers of certain types of things in the industry. One of which was BioTrack.
Yeah, I wish we did, because you want to make sure it's compliant with the state's system. So that's kind of fun weeding out.
Good times. What does the 21 legislation look like? Is there any recreational stuff coming up for you guys?
Yeah, so there was actually supposed to be on the November ballot recreational. It was written, it received a whole lot of flack. It was pulled, and then it was resubmitted as SQ 807, and it provides for really progressive criminal reform. We've already had the largest U.S. commutation last November, where it was 530 people, I think, released straight to the streets for minor drug offenses. Another 130 this year. I mean, that our recreational petition was written by very progressive legislature and input by really progressive people and lawyers. So I'm pretty happy with it, but the people who do not want out of state residents coming are very upset.
What is the population of Oklahoma?
4 million. And it's about 6 to 7% have their cards, their medical cards.
So is there going to be like this outpouring of, hey, it's basically legal, or it's at least under the table enough, so we probably going to prefer it that way. If you want to get it, you can get a card, and then we can call it that it's just medical, wink, wink. Or
I think people are real pissed about the taxes. So with a medical, you have an 8% sales tax for Oklahoma, and then it's a 7% on top of that, so 15 total for the marijuana. If you went recreational, it would be the 8% plus 15%. So people are upset about that, but I'm like, okay, then just go get your medical card and pay the $100 for years, and you'll save a lot.
Yeah, we have striated, so I paid my $100. And because of COVID, they actually comped medical patients this year in Illinois. So I got my card for free next year. But you pay that, and then you do get to save a little bit on taxes. Yeah. So you're not going to pay the same premium that you would, but it's not really a premium. It's just extra tax money on the hemp or on the cannabis. And that's fine. And then what about the openness of the industry? Would it still be just crazy wide open or what?
No. They did modify the language to say you had to have a medical license in order to get a recreational commercial license. I don't know if that will be enforced or not yet. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not a smart man, but you said the population is 4 million, and you guys did 300 million in 5 months. So are 4 million people smoking $75 million worth of weed each?
Yeah, about 650,000 people, I think, is what it was. And it was out of the 300 and something million, I think it was 11.6 million in taxes.
Wow.
In May alone, May 2020.
Mm. That's awesome. Do we know how many out-of-state residents are there, or is?
I haven't. Yeah. It's kind of hard to keep track of just for confidentiality purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see real estate going up like it did in Colorado?
Do I see real estate going up?
Yeah, that was one of the big factors in Colorado. They, hurt a lot of residents, just like here in .com, raise prices of real estate. Cannabis is
yet.
No.
Yeah, there's a lot of Oklahoma.
Yeah, there's a lot of rural Oklahoma.
Yeah, there's a lot of Illinois. It's just nothing.
We're one of those oil and gas bubbles too, that even during that 2008 recession, we didn't really feel it. But now we're feeling that oil and gas recession. So you're kind of evening out. I feel like the prices have actually dropped for real estate because of that market. And I don't know if cannabis has made up for that yet.
No, right on. No, like I said, when I went to Oklahoma, I went in with a prejudice like I always do when I leave the state. But really, Oklahoma people were beautiful. I hang down a couple bars and restaurants. It's a modern state still, just a flyover state that people seem to forget about. Yeah. And if you guys bring up good enough weed, I think people will go there.
Yeah, and like I said, it's cheap, So all those people who really wanted to just get a foot in the door, they have the option now.
How much is an eighth?
I don't know. I don't buy an eighth.
How much is it what you buy?
So carts are anywhere from 30 to 90, depending on how.
So it's still the price is still just all kind of over the map, and you could buy a premium whatever product, right?
There's everything from 29% THC, $40 for a quarter to or more, $65 all the way down.
Wow, sounds like it's way cheaper as well down there.
Yeah.
And bulk flower. I can't believe you guys have bulk flower. That's so cool.
it was interesting because initially it was, dispensaries are the fun side. Let's be real, like the marketing, all that, it's fun. But there wasn't any growers, and it took them a minute to kind of get that volume up. But now there's a shit ton of growers
and a shit ton of volume.
And it's not great. So it's kind of interesting seeing the prices fluctuate and kind of even out from
because
down to 2,200 or
how much is it? Is that your premium wholesale? Premium indoor flower wholesale price is about 2,200 a pound right now.
I would say premium is about 2,800.
Wow, that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Like in Illinois, it could be like 35 to 4,000, but then Illinois is so highly regulated. It's more like Washington or California. When you have those licenses, you're selling it by the gram, and it's prepackaged when it leaves the store, and that just pushes the price up, and it also takes down the quality, in my opinion.
Well, and it's just not everybody wants to do that. They don't want to package. They don't want to label. They don't want to market. They just want to grow it, white label it, and get it out. So it's just give them the option.
Right. And then also it's the retail, or also then can do their own pre-roll joints, could be marketing, but it's also then cost of goods sold, so they can avoid some IRC 280E. They don't allow them to do that here because they aren't allowed to do pre-rolls or any types of pre-packs or marketing like that. Or you can't even, there's no smell jars in Illinois. There's not even a smell jar.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you definitely smell what you're getting here, but you have to have a processing license to do pre-rolls because you're making it into a new product. So,
okay. Well, then let's now refactor this when we're trying to get our pro forma together for our Oklahoma dispensary. We're going to add 2 more line items to it. One of them is the food thing that we needed for $850. And then also now it looks like we need to get another license type. Is that another $2,500?
Yes, that would be another $2,500.
Still way cheaper in Illinois.
You're going to make that back in several pre-rolls.
Cheaper in any state. You guys have the best bar so far.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any direct flights.
Oklahoma City usually have to go through Dallas. So.
Rachel, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can we go to find or follow what's going on at Smith and Klubeck?
Yeah, so I guess the best place is just Instagram. That's just kind of shows my generation, I guess. At Smith Klubeck, Klubeck.
Awesome. We'll throw that link in the description. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Make sure you like and subscribe to keep up with all cannabis legalization news. We will see you on Sunday.